Last fall, on the White House lawn, we celebrate the anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. As a United States Senator 400 years ago, I was looking back on it. God almighty, I've been doing this 50 years. It's hell turning 40 years old, anyway. But back in the year 1990, I was the co-sponsor of the Americans with Disabilities Act as a United States Senator. In my view, and I suspect many of you, it was one of the most consequential civil rights laws in American history. That's what got me involved in politics in the first place. Delaware, like Maryland, was one of those states, was a slave state. We had all the vestiges of what was going on back in the day. We were one of those states that still, I remember moving from Scranton, Pennsylvania down to Wilmington, Delaware, and Cole died. My dad moved back to where we could get a job. I remember I pulled into, my mom would drive us on the Philadelphia Pike connecting Wilmington and Philadelphia. And we lived in an apartment complex. And she'd drive us it was only about half a mile to Holy Rosary School in Claymont. But it was so dangerous, she wouldn't let us walk up because of access road. And I remember pulling into the parking lot. And I had never seen hardly any black people in Scranton at the time and I was only going in the 4th grade. And I remember seeing the kids going by at the time called colored kids on a bus going by. They never turned right to go to Claymont High School. I wondered why. I asked my mom, why? So in Delaware, they're not allowed to go to school, in public school, with white kids, honey. That sparked my sense of outrage as a kid, just like it does, and these young kids right here can tell you things affect them. Martin, the governor can tell you. We came into office, Social Security Administration had its lowest staffing, she referenced it, lowest staffing levels in 50 years. And demand was going through the roof because of my generation and the baby boom generation, reaching the retirement age. So the demands on Social Security increased significantly. Our administration secured nearly $2 billion to reduce the backlogs and improve customer service. We slashed wait times for folks in need who are calling the 1-800 number. We got it down to under 13 minutes. It used to be 3 times that long when we took office. We made it easier for people to get help with their claims online. Reduced how long it takes to review a case. We fixed the appeal system to make it uniform in all 50 states, which made a difference. We strengthened the anti-fraud measures to protect people's identities and to make sure benefits are going to people who actually they belong to. Also signed into law the Social Security Fairness Act. That act eliminated 2 unfair rules so public employees wouldn't get shortchanged. The government pension offset and the windfall elimination provision can never come in ever again. So as a result, more than 2 million people are now finally receiving the full benefits they earned. And remember, we also faced a constant threat by some members, Republican members of the Congress, to cut and gut Social Security, period. Cut and gut it, period. They wanted to let Social Security expire every 5 years. That was the proposal. Let it expire every 5 years unless reauthorized by the Congress. Who in the hell do they think they are? They threatened to raise the retirement age as well. Now that might not be a hardship for someone working in a comfortable job. But if you're on your feet all day, you're doing manual labor all day, you're working with a disability, it's a very different matter. And then they even tried to face cuts, force cuts on Social Security during the negotiation of the debt ceiling. These are wonderful guys. Last time this guy had the job, he raised the debt ceiling because of an enormous and profligate tax cut to the super wealthy. And then he said, look, then they started talking to us, his colleagues. Well, maybe we can do something about Social Security, but we got to do something about the debt ceiling. How are we going to do? We can find the money in Social Security. Unless we do what they wanted to cut Social Security. Not on my watch. We refuse to go along with any of that. We talk about the physical needs that Social Security provides for people, particularly people, hardworking people, people retired, people on the edge. But the psychological impact is profound. Profound. You're a man or a woman, you're 70s, 80 years old, you're not in good shape, you have a disability, and you hear the check may not come. How do you sleep at night? We lived up in Wilmington in a 3-bedroom split-level home in a new development, 40 homes, with 4 kids and a grandpa living with us. And I remember our headboard was near my dad's and mom's room. And you could tell when Dad was restless. I remember asking one night my mom, "What's the matter with Dad?" The next morning, she just found out that we're not going to provide insurance anymore where he works. Well, imagine if you're somebody who's been struggling your whole life. You're literally counting on Social Security to buy your food, just to get by. And you hear the threats, what may happen. Many of these beneficiaries, that's their only income. If they were cut or taken away, it'd be devastating. Devastating for millions of people. And the psychological pressure we put people under by having this debate is absolutely devastating. The current Secretary of Commerce doesn't seem to get it. Or based on his comments, he doesn't seem to even care. Many of you saw what he said the other day. And by the way, he's a billionaire, God love him, as my mother would say. Paying 8.5% in taxes. Anyway. Billionaires, I don't know what he's paying. But when he talked about the possibility of Social Security checks not going out this month, he shrugged it off. Here's what he said. He said his 94-year-old mother-in-law wouldn't complain, wouldn't bother her. She's probably a lovely woman. No kidding. Her son-in-law is a billionaire. What about that 94-year-old mother living all by herself? Doesn't have a billionaire in the family. Or all the retirees who depend on that monthly check to feed themselves. All those people with disabilities have no other source. What about all those people?